Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today we are checking out Young Sherlock Holmes. Now I don't really know anything about this movie, although I do really appreciate Sherlock Holmes stories. I've seen like the BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch. I really enjoyed that show. I've seen a few other Sherlock Holmes things like the Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr., but never seen a young Sherlock Holmes before, so I'm very excited to check this movie out. Now I haven't really heard of this movie in pop culture before or anything like that, although I'm pretty sure that this movie has the first fully CGI creature person, like that knight that hops out of the church. The only reason I know that is because I watched a CGI breakdown from this channel called The Corridor Crew, who are pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure that's from this movie, although it may not be from this movie. I may just be misremembering the title of that movie in particular. So yeah, if that is not in this movie, then I know absolutely nothing about this. However, I am excited to watch this and very intrigued because this movie is 14A, and I was expecting this movie to be like a kids movie in a way that was maybe nostalgic for everyone, but no, this is a 14A movie, so I'm very interested to see what is going to happen in this film. And before we get into this reaction, let me do the lighting. So let me turn the light, we decide what color it should be. Boop! Nice, nice, nice. Now I actually have no idea what color I should go. I was thinking different colors and just nothing is really popping into my head right now. So I think I'm just gonna go pink, which is definitely the color I should not be going for this reaction, which is why I'm going for it for my reaction. And if you'd like to check out more of my reactions, you can head over to my Patreon of uncut reactions to many of the movies I watch on YouTube, as well as early access reactions to my movies that come out 1 week early. Thank you so much for checking it out. Let's get back to the video. Okay, let's get into this thing. I hope you enjoy my reaction to Young Sherlock Holmes. This man and his mutton chops are about to be murdered. Oh, a blow dart. I hope he dies and his face splats into soup. Ew, what the heck? Oh my god, what the heck? Top 10 most what the heck? Top 10 most unexpected moments in film history. Literally number 1, that moment. I'm gonna guess everyone's the murderer. I bet you're the murderer, lady. Watch, I'll guess the murderer. I'll guess her or him eventually. Although I'm having a suspicion it's a lady. Because you always suspect a man as a murderer, so it's always a cool twist when it's a woman. Oh my god. Top hat jump scare. Oh my god. Oh my god. If you had asked me how this movie started, I would never have said anything that happens right now. I bet his room isn't on fire. Yeah, it's not on fire. And now his death looks like a suicide. Dude, genius murder strategy. I hope we see more of these hallucinations though, because they were so cool. Probably why this movie has a 14A rating. And Spielberg's name is attached. That is awesome, dude. Chris Columbus. Wow, there are actually names attached to this.
The sight of my new school filled me with fear and apprehension. Yet
that is a nice school.
Changed my life.
So is this Watson then?
I should have mastered the damn thing by now.
How long have you been playing?
3 days.
Yes, I transferred from another school. My name's...
Wait.
What's his name? Watson. And this is Sherlock, it has to be.
What's the difference?
A great deal.
Very well. So your name is John.
Looks like you aren't perfect after all, Mr. Sherlock.
To the north of England. The middle finger of your left hand is indented with a callus, the trademark of a writer.
I love when Sherlock Holmes does this.
In the making of custard tarts, and well, your shape convinced me that you've eaten many of them before.
Okay, Sherlock, that is pretty rude. I love when he deducts how he finds out things, though. It's so awesome.
Why on earth would the bear be red?
The southern sun is very hot. The bay would be terribly burned.
Good one. Yeah, but it makes sense.
To reiterate,
This class is making me die inside.
and so violent will be the action that allows,
I would quit school if this guy was my professor.
and such is modified by
You can't even understand what he's saying. How are you supposed to learn anything?
Elizabeth was just admiring my new top.
I hate you already. I literally looked at this guy's face and I hate him.
Congratulations, Dudley. Your stylish timepiece is a fraud.
Keep your opinions to...
And his name is Dudley as well. Oh my god. Dudley with the fake watch.
Why did you do that?
Dudley is a pompous ass.
Fair enough. Oh my god, you stopped him from kissing her.
Bit wobbly. No broken bones.
Ah! She's there, that's the murderer. I'm saying she because I think it's a woman, okay? I'm saying she because I think it's a woman. If it is a man, I am sorry in advance.
And most people think he's a lunatic.
Why?
That is why. Maybe you're the murderer. No, I doubt it. I think this movie's gonna throw some red herrings, and the reason I think it's a woman, my powers of deduction is just because plot twist. A twist in the story that it's not a man. That is the only reason. I'm basically Sherlock Holmes if it's true. And if I'm not right, then you know what? Still call me Sherlock Holmes. Please.
Uncas, say hello to Watson.
That's a cute dog.
Say hello. Watson, he's not a parrot.
Yeah, come on, Watson.
Time machine. Won't that be difficult?
elementary, my dear Holmes. Elementary.
Elementary, that's a lion, isn't it? Bobster is such a strange name. You're the murderer.
A better pupil to help me illustrate proper form and technique than Holmes.
You just know all the kids in class hate Sherlock Holmes. This is gonna come in handy later, I feel.
Mr. Holmes lost because of one important factor. His emotions took over.
His emotions took over.
Never replace discipline with emotion.
That line seems like it's gonna resonate throughout the movie.
I want to be a doctor.
Nobody asked you.
Okay, someone slap him.
I never want to be alone.
He's like, I want to be a lover. Who are you, hooded person?
Uncas?
I swear they're the weirdest names in the world in this movie. There's Bobster and there's Uncas. Like, what kind of weird names are these? I'm getting less and less certain that it's a woman. I'm feeling like I'm wrong. This old guy is so dead. I wonder why they're targeting these people. And also, that just came out of their neck like a tongue, you know? Whoop. No hands needed. Oh, this is the scene. This is the first CGI character in a movie, I'm pretty sure. Oh my god, this would have been unreal to watch. That looks so cool. It actually looks pretty good. Like, it holds up. What a way to go.
Dudley had challenged Holmes to a test of ingenuity, skill, and perception.
Oh, it's like a fake crime?
60 minutes to find the trophy. Holmes accepted the challenge with confidence.
The game is a...
Ah, he said the line! What does this skull have to do with anything?
Precocious, too egotistical for his own good. He'll never find that trophy.
Oh my god, believe in him.
Done.
Also, don't you think the fencing instructor kind of looks like a young Hugh Jackman who isn't jacked? I guess his name would just be Hugh Mandan because he's not jacked. Ooh, bam, 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 bam. That was funny. Oh, you're cutting it close. He has it. He has it solved.
Holmes, have you gone mad? This is an antique.
I'm breaking it. Sherlock, Sherlock, Sherlock.
A jar, a vase.
Painted with red and green paint.
Exactly, Watson.
Ah, that makes sense. Good try, buddy. Nesbit the dust. I'm so good at the puns today.
Was the Russian ambassador?
Oh, Holmes, please. I don't have time for any more of your...
So he's not perfect. He's not perfect, but he's getting close.
Content with his life, his career, his family. Why would he commit suicide? He didn't even leave a note.
Sometimes you don't know what's happening under the surface, Sherlock.
Seek out that one case, that one investigation that could promote me to inspector.
Oh.
It isn't even my handwriting.
That's Prof. I hate him and love him.
But sir,
You better come with me.
Is it even Sherlock's handwriting, though?
To make matters worse, the answers were in your own handwriting.
an excellent job of forgery.
Okay, it was in his forgery.
And if there's anything else I can do.
Punch Dudley in the face.
Holmes, you all right?
It's the ring. I think the fencing teacher is going to be the murderer because he's nice to Mr. Holmes, and that means evil. Although, why would he walk around like that? Whoever is walking around in that costume has balls.
Holmes!
Oh my god, that is beautiful.
You're responsible, aren't you?
So that's where I dropped my...
He looks like Draco Malfoy. No! If this guy dies, I'm suing. No! Aww. It'd be funny if she spelled Watson. I love you, Watson. She looks like, hey, what? Ooh, that's cool. Oh, that would be so terrifying. Oh no, he's gonna stab himself.
So this is goodbye.
He stabbed himself. I love the murders in this movie. They're epic. Watson, you saw someone in a giant cloak running away from the crime scene. Don't you think you should say something? I don't think this guy's a murderer. It's too obvious. I think it's going to be the fencing teacher, and I think we're going to see the ring flash, and that is how we're going to know.
I had to come back.
Do you really believe Uncle was murdered?
Yes, I do.
Well, I asked him about him, but he just changed the subject.
In some way, that man is connected to all three murders. We must...
Yeah, but not as the murderer, as someone else.
Me? I can't.
Poor Watson's been dragged into this.
Measles are practical. And I imagined you courageous, stout of heart.
Okay, but you're also asking a lot of Watson here, and you kind of just met each other.
All right, I'll do it.
Thank you, Watson.
Watson, Watson.
Put it on.
Dude, please put on the hat. Yes! Ah, it fits like a glove.
You can't wear hats.
It did. It did look stupid.
On jewellery, on sculptures. I had it here in the shop.
This guy looks sane.
You promised to purchase something.
Ah, this guy's a good salesman. Why did you get a pipe?
It looks distinguished.
It's perfectly ridiculous.
You'll see.
I love how they're slowly getting the iconic outfit, though.
Food, women.
Do you have any soup?
Do you have any soup? I love Watson. Seems like everyone's in the know except for them. Whoa!
Right up there.
Jeez.
Top shelf. That's where
It's like a symbol of death or something. It must be.
Because of their distortion of traditional religious beliefs and their violent and sadistic rituals.
Interesting.
The murderer is still here. On school grounds.
How do we know?
Of a time trying to turn the thing off.
I found it! I found
Hey, good for you.
And those 4 familiar words shot from his lips.
The game is afoot.
Hey!
Featured exclusively at Froggitt and Froggitt, located in the Wapping area of London.
What an area call. What am I saying? The Wapping area? What a weird name for an area.
What if the murderer's inside?
I shall introduce myself to him.
Good answer. Wow, that's kind of a cool pyramid in here.
I'm afraid this is only the tip of the iceberg.
Literally, the tip. Oh my god, that is a huge pyramid, actually. Our murderer wanted to be so Egyptian that they lived inside a giant pyramid.
Your passageway inside. I hear chanting.
Sherlock Holmes, you could just see the passageway. Your powers of deduction are crazy.
Found him missing a door.
Watson, Elizabeth, over here.
Guess he didn't actually miss the door. I love the chanting in the background. It's very creepy.
Some sort of temple.
They must be inside Osiris or something. Oh wow, there are actually people inside. And there's the hooded people. What if there's not one murderer, but a whole colony of them? This is so intense. When you guys watched this the first time, did you ever expect Egyptian mummy sacrifices? Oh, okay, that is cool. I dare you to pull on that guy's ponytail. She's still alive, guys.
She's alive!
Sherlock, you outed yourself.
We got them!
Have they've all been hit? Dude, they're about to see zombies if they've been hit.
What could have happened to her?
She might have been hit by a thorn.
She was the only one? That's terrifying.
You're right.
That was a great shot.
I don't want to die!
It's not.
Jeez, this is terrifying.
You're hallucinating! Wake up!
Great effects, though.
Watson!
That's my worst fear in the world, to look at a statue and see it move. Weeping Angels destroyed me in Doctor Who. No, his is not as scary as Elizabeth's. At least his is like cute food attacking him, trying to kill him. Elizabeth's was like death. It was literally just death. Sherlock was hit as well. They were all hit. Okay.
Please don't cry, Mother.
Ooh, this is wrong.
Please. Don't you understand?
I love the shot here.
Forgive me, Father. Please, I didn't realize.
My private life is my...
Did he cheat on her?
No. No. No!
Dude, he cheated her and Sherlock used his deduction to find out.
This is not real.
This is very real, son. This guy is so... I guess Sherlock Holmes can sword fight, right? But before Sherlock had a sword, this guy was so inept.
A great detective relies on perception, intelligence, and imagination. It's framed on the wall behind you.
That's funny.
Out! All of you. Simply leave.
Why don't you at least go with Sherlock to the warehouse? Oh, you're going to die now, you idiot. Why would you do that?
What a picture, Holmes.
Clues, Watson. I want clues, not art.
That picture is a clue.
He was here in the window, and at the funeral. He's the only man in this group who's still alive.
He probably just knows why.
I did not expect our foils to cross so soon.
How did you know I was hiding in wax splatters?
This guy is the murderer, I swear. Look at the attention the movie's giving to his ring. If he's not the murderer now, I'm gonna be upset. Unless it's a good murderer instead of him.
Did you permit Mr. Holmes to stay in your uncle's study these past few days?
Yes.
That extremely unladylike behavior in one so young.
I would have lied. I've been like, no, I didn't. He stayed. Without my consent, he stayed.
It's the man's whole life's work.
And his life is over.
You have no right.
Mr. Holmes!
If this guy's the murderer. He is.
At this late hour. Mrs. Dribb, place the boys in 14B and keep the...
Could also be Mrs. Dribble. That would be a plot twist and a half. I originally didn't suspect her because she was too happy, you know what I mean? But now she's working with him, so now I'm suspecting they're both the murderer at different points in time.
Staying here.
Please, I need you, Watson. We're in this together. We're a team.
Yeah, you guys are a team. I'm also waiting on the answer to what color that bear is. I want the film to bring that back up.
Be careful tonight.
Hey, they kiss. Poor Watson's struggling over here and you're just kissing her.
Go in. You can get up now, Watson. The war's over.
The war is over. A hood and the jingling.
Soon became a major archaeological find.
Oh, what was underneath? Ah, the hood.
Ancient tombs of 5 Egyptian princesses. Removed.
No.
Bloody insect. Place needs a good cleaning.
Oh
The entire village was burned to the ground.
my days.
They've hit Cragwitz with a thorn.
Yeah, don't let him run. Don't let him run.
Upset.
That didn't last that long. The effects they're over now.
The head is adorned by the symbol of the Rami Tep. 2 golden serpents.
Yeah, so basically they were marked for death.
Their home. Both their parents were killed in the
Hey, that's not good.
5 Egyptian princesses.
And the boy was called Atar.
Oh, that's why that woman was being mummified.
What's his name?
Cragwitz.
Ah, good try, Watson.
Mr. Lestrade.
Hey, he investigated. The bell. That was the ringing sound. It is her.
Yes, my dear.
It is her. Okay. Seems like a strange reveal, but okay, I guessed her. Yeah, pull her hair, dog. Pull her hair, dog. Oh my god, she's bald. She's bald. Oh.
Mr. Ray, you must...
Ah, it's him too.
So, my dear, you've discovered our little secret.
Hey, I called it.
Holmes.
The reveal was a little lackluster though. Like, I was excited for it to be them and I had suspicions that it was them. But I was just expecting like a greater reveal where Sherlock reveals their identity in some grand fashion or something like that. But they just kind of show up. I don't know, a little disappointed by that, to be honest with you. I think the biggest twist of this all wasn't who the murderers was, but that she's bald. There's some unexpected moments in this movie, I gotta say.
I know the bear's white, but I don't know why.
I want to know why.
The bear is white because... Oh, God.
Why is the bear white? Don't stop now.
Watson. It's Ray.
Okay, now everyone knows.
Ray's got Elizabeth!
How did they find him there? I thought they would have gone up to the laboratory first to check on her, because that's where she was supposed to be, right?
Come on!
Where are we going? This is mad.
There's no way. He was fixing it during this movie. I bet this guy thinks he's hallucinating right now. Stupid Big Ben always getting in the way.
This time we're going to crash.
You know what? A landing's a landing. Ah, he's the guy with the head. So he was the boy then, wasn't he?
Don't know what to do. There are 2 of us and 100 of them. What can...
Wow, he's stumped.
You're always so dash sure of yourself. Why didn't you think of something?
Watson, that's not helpful. Why can't I think of anything?
You're flustered.
You're letting your emotions get in the way of rationality here. Huh, that's cool. Oh, that's so terrifying. I am definitely curious about how Sherlock managed to get up or onto that chandelier, but you know what? I don't need to know. It's funny that you can tell that that suit isn't bandages either. The music is so epic right now though. Oh, well done everyone. Nice, nice. Ooh, it's like applesauce. See what I'm saying? Like the mummy outfit, it wasn't bandages in those shots. It was just like a suit made to look like bandages. Nice. Oh. Yo. Oh, into the throat. Ah. She's actually on fire now too.
You're right.
Holmes didn't even try to run, he just gave up. Oh, how did you get changed so quickly?
Look, what should I do?
Go round the other way, Watson! You must stop him!
Come on, Watson. Ooh. Ooh, that's a great shot. But these guys are so inept. Don't ever hire them as bodyguards or anything. What are you gonna do, Watson?
What am I gonna do?
What color's the bear? Think about the bear. I don't know why that would help, but I just want to know why the bear is white. Oh, this is genius. I would never have thought of this. This fire is growing around him, my boy. Oh, that's so cool.
Good show, Watson.
I am now alive again. Good show.
Well, I don't know how I'm gonna explain all this to my parents.
Fair enough.
It'll all be explained.
He has a sword. He's gonna sword fight. He's gonna sword fight Wraith.
Holmes!
Yes. Oh. No! Oh. Oh, she was shot? Top 10 unexpected moments, number 9 in this movie. Elizabeth gets shot.
And you, Holmes, are letting your emotions get the better of you again.
You suck. You suck. That was also the tiniest gun I've ever seen in my entire life. Why not jump stab him, Holmes? Why not jump stab him?
All of your dreams have been shattered. Your temple, the Rame tank, everything has been destroyed forever.
Oh, nice, Nick. Fall, fall, fall. Dude, this fight has got me hooked. You get it? Because his weapons are hooked. I love the change of weapons in this fight though. Very creative.
Yes.
Dude, put pressure on the wound, man. What, can you not swim? What an idiot doesn't know how to swim. No way she dies. There's no way she dies. Watson, you need to be a doctor. Come on. Aww.
You'll be late.
As always.
As always.
Yeah, as always. Dude, I could have written this movie. Wow, she actually died. Elizabeth actually died. Did not expect that at all.
Have you been asleep through this entire case?
Sorry.
But guys, the most important question is, why is the bear white?
Chief assassin. But more importantly, she was Wraith's younger sister.
Oh, and Chief Assassin, I knew it was gonna be a woman. I'm a genius. Call me Sherlock Holmes.
I thought you might have more luck smoking it.
Ah, look at him. Outfit settled.
We'll be on the North Pole. It's a polar bear.
Bravo, Watson. You have the makings of a great...
Oh, genius. Ah, genius. I'm so satisfied now. Okay, I like that a lot. Where's this carriage going? We're just watching a snow carriage.
I'd like a room, please.
Please, to sign here.
Who's this? Oh, it's Moriarty. Oh, he's alive? He's alive? Setting up for a sequel that maybe never happened? And that was my reaction to Young Sherlock Holmes, the 1985 mystery adventure starring Nicholas Rowe, Alan Cox, Anthony Higgins, who looks like Hugh Jackman, but just like not Jack. So just I made this joke in the reaction, but I thought it was pretty funny that he's just going to be called Hugh Man because he's missing the Jack. Nigel Stock, Sophie Ward, and Earl Rhodes. And before we get into this review, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the video. It is free and it helps out the channel a lot. Anyways, back to the review. I enjoyed this movie overall. I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was fun. I thought it was really cool to see young Sherlock Holmes. I mean, the movie's called Young Sherlock Holmes, but I thought it was fun to see him as a kid. I've never seen him as a kid before, as well as his first interaction with Watson. And I know at the end of the movie they said that this didn't happen, like they met as adults, but I think it's cool to kind of speculate like what happens if Sherlock and Watson did meet as kids. And I think this movie was fun. It was definitely kind of had its 14A rating there. It was very, not necessarily scary at times, kind of terrifying in a way. Some of the effects were incredible in this, and just the hallucinations. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones, just kind of the weirdness of it, how you would just never expect what's going to happen. Like in Temple of Doom, you're never going to expect that someone is going to reach into someone's chest and rip out their heart at one point. And in this, if you had to go into this movie and guess what was going to happen, you would never guess that a cult of Egyptian people would be running this underground thing trying to get 5 princesses. Like, you would just never expect that to be the mystery. So I thought that was very entertaining. Also, the hallucinations were very confusing, as they should be, but also very fun to watch. The effects in them, again, were incredible. And again, the church dude, like the night guy who comes out of the stained glass window, I'm pretty sure is the first fully CGI character. He's only in the movie for about 20 seconds, maybe not even, but I thought it looked fantastic as well. I thought the music was pretty good in this movie. The set design was pretty good in this movie, but the thing that I was kind of let down by this movie were the mysteries themselves, because when I watch Sherlock Holmes movies, I watch or at least consume Sherlock Holmes media, they usually come with these stories that are very detailed and very hard to find who the culprit is, and it usually comes down to Sherlock Holmes doing his wizardry, and he kind of tells the audience through clues what is happening, and I really enjoy that aspect. But in Young Sherlock Holmes, I was able to figure out who the murderer was pretty quickly into this movie, and I was able to figure out a lot of things that were going to happen as this movie movie progressed before anyone else. And maybe that is a cool thing. The movie sets up stuff in the right way, but I just found this movie way too predictable for a Sherlock Holmes movie. And if this was a kid's movie, that would be one thing. But this movie is rated 14A. Young kids could not go and see this movie, even though I think there are definitely moments that are kind of made for young kids, and then this movie is also made for adults. They kind of were trying to figure out what they wanted to do, and then they said, let's just try and make it for everyone here. But I just thought this movie was too predictable for a movie that is 14A, because I knew who the killers were immediately. Well, maybe not immediately, but I guessed who the killers were immediately, and then I was pretty like confirmed who the killers were about halfway through the movie. And I don't know, just like the reveals of the killers, even though I knew who they were, the reveals of them still felt lackluster. Like Elizabeth's just in a room, and then they just come in and she's like, it's you guys, and they're like, yeah, it's us. You know, it just felt very lame. Like Chris Columbus, who wrote this movie, just wanted us to know who the killers were so the movie could progress, but it didn't really feel like it had any dramatic weight to it at all. When Sherlock Holmes figures out who the killers are, he just kind of like, oh, it's this guy, it's Moriarty, you know what I mean? And I don't know, it was just kind of left feeling like I wanted a little bit more from the reveals overall. And even Anthony Higgins, who's apparently Moriarty in this, he's labeled as Professor Moriarty, even though he goes by another name completely in this movie, except at the end where he scribbles his name down as Moriarty, setting up for a sequel that I don't think ever happened. But even his death scene in this movie felt very lackluster. Death scene, I quote, because he's still alive, but he's just like fighting on the river, and then he just falls into the water, which I guess was kind of foreshadowed by the plane thing falling into the water, but it still felt very lackluster. Like there was no kind of epic blow or anything like that from Sherlock Holmes. And I know Sherlock Holmes isn't about the epicness and the grandness, but the sense of mystery, it felt a little bit squandered in this, and it just kind of felt too small in a way. I don't really know how to describe it. It just didn't feel like a big enough or an intricate enough mystery for a Sherlock Holmes film, if that makes any sense. But let's get into the reviews of this movie, and then I'll talk about things that I liked, because I just kind of complained a little bit about the mystery, but overall I did enjoy this movie, so I'll talk about some of the stuff that I did enjoy in this film. So 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, which is audience score, and 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is the critic score. So it seems like audiences and critics are pretty much aligned exactly for how much they like this movie, and it's got pretty good reviews overall. I would say like pretty average reviews. People enjoy it, but they don't think it's the best movie of all time, and I can see why. I wonder if people's criticisms are the same as mine, that the story just feels a little lackluster, but I think the camaraderie and the chemistry between Sherlock Holmes's actor and Watson's actor are both phenomenal, so I think they kind of carry the movie in a way. Also, I think the effects in this movie are great, so I think people kind of gravitate towards that stuff, and maybe they kind of wish that this movie's story was just a little bit better. That's kind of my thoughts on why people think this movie is mid, because that's exactly what I think as well. The music for this film was pretty good overall. I wouldn't say it was like a standout maybe, but I think there were definitely moments where the music stood out. I don't think it stood out the entire film, but for example, when they were inside the pyramid and you had all those they weren't actually Egyptian people. The movie clarifies this at the end. It was going to be one of my complaints that they had to cast like white actors to play Egyptian people, but then it turned out that they weren't supposed to be Egyptian people. They were actually homeless people and stuff like that from England. Like they were British people just turned into this like cult almost. So that kind of clarified that for me. But when they're inside there and all those people are praying and that woman is about to be burned alive by that hot applesauce looking thing, the music going off in that moment was so epic. I loved the chanting obviously from the crowd, but it was just so loud and very powerful. It was very booming, and it made me feel very uneasy at the same time. I thought the music during the whole pyramid sequence, the first time they're there, but even the second time they're there, where it's a lot more frantic because there's this whole action sequence happening, I thought the music at those points in time were really, really good, but they were kind of the only moments in the movie that I really listened to the music, or that the music affected me in a certain way. I think the rest of the music was decent overall, and it provided some nice elevation to the story a little bit just in terms of entertainment value, but I don't think it's anything as memorable as the pyramid music pieces that we saw in this film. I just like to talk about the effects really quickly by ILM. Whenever you see ILM doing the effects in a movie, you know you're gonna have a good time, and in this movie as well, the effects were amazing. Again, just like I said earlier in the review, the stained glass Nightman, I think he holds up pretty well today. There are definitely moments of jank that you could see a little bit just in his movements. It looked like a little keyframe, especially when he's like lifting up his sword. You can kind of just see that it's just not like human enough. And I know he's like a stained glass person, so he's not gonna move like a human because he's made of glass, but you could just kind of see like the computer effect in him moving. But when he's like walking with a sword like this and he's passing the candles, which by the way, it was a really good idea to have stuff in front of him because it just really brings him into the sequence. So when he's passing by behind the candles, it looked really good. Like if that was in a movie today, I wouldn't question it that much. Maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't be like, oh, that looks super outdated, like it's from 1985 or something like that. I'd be like, that's a pretty good effect. It looks like it could have been made in like 2016 or something. So like props to ILM for making a fantastic effect. And the first CGI, as far as I'm aware, the first CGI character in a film, even though it's on screen for 20 seconds. But besides that, there are so many other great effects as well. The zombie like skeleton people when Elizabeth is having her hallucination, which by the way was definitely the worst one. I know Sherlock Holmes had a flashback to his parents and stuff, but that was a situation that was long gone, long in the past, and kind of cool that he brought up, like he was able to deduct that his father was cheating on his mother, which I thought was kind of funny, but also like, oh well, good job Sherlock Holmes, you kind of broke up this good thing here. And then obviously Watson's was like food, trying to like stuff his face with food, which would be very terrifying, I gotta say. It gave me like How the Grinch Stole Christmas flashbacks, if anyone has seen that, when everyone is stuffing the Grinch's face with food. It just made me feel a little nauseous. Same with Watson's hallucination, made me feel a little nauseous. But Elizabeth definitely had it worse, where she falls into this massive grave and skeletons are coming out trying to kill her, and then that uncle guy is like scooping dirt over her, burying her alive. Like that one is definitely the creepiest. And then there's a skeleton writing her name on a tombstone, like terrifying stuff. But these skeletons really reminded me of the Evil Dead in their practical nature, because they were, I'm pretty sure, practical effects, and they looked fantastic. Like you could just feel the artistry work within them. And that was the same with all the effects, like the food creatures that were going after Watson. I'm pretty sure they were like stop motion or something, but they looked fantastic as well. That pheasant thing that attacked the guy at the very start, which it just jumps you into this movie. You don't know he's going to be hallucinating. All of a sudden there's like this pheasant coming out of this food attacking this guy, and you're like, what the heck kind of movie am I watching here? But that looked fantastic as well. Just this whole film in general is surrounded by a lot of creativity and a lot of fantastic visual choices, some great sets, some fun music here and there, but overall the story just felt a little lackluster, which is why I think this movie to me was just like entertaining, but I don't know how much I will remember it, which is very sad, because again, I think this movie has some really good moments in it, and I think Nicholas Rowe and Alan Cox have great chemistry together. I thought Nicholas Rowe was great as Sherlock Holmes, but I thought Alan Cox was amazing as Watson. He provided so many laughs. He was a great foil to Sherlock Holmes as well, and at the same time he was a great partner to Sherlock Holmes, and he was just the most entertaining character to watch. He had so much enthusiasm. Sherlock Holmes, while he is fun to watch, is very dry character. You know, he has this very monotone way of speaking with very little emotion actually cropping up in his voice, but it's really fun to see him deduce, and he deduces a lot in this movie. But Alan Cox is really the emotional center. Like Watson is the emotional center of Sherlock Holmes things, Sherlock Holmes media, TV shows, movies, whatever you want to call it, and I thought Alan Cox did a great job as Watson in this. So yeah, that's kind of all I want to talk about. Overall, again, I was entertained, but a little disappointed by the story and how easy it was for me to deduce who the killers were. And when I was making those wild guesses at the start that the murderer was a woman, and that if it was a woman, then call me Sherlock Holmes, well, you can call me Sherlock Holmes because it was a woman. I know there was a man also leading it, but they said that the woman was primarily the assassin, so I guess I'm a genius. You can call me Sherlock Holmes. I'm going to legally change my name now to Sherlock Holmes. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to these wonderful, beautiful, amazing people right here for supporting me and supporting my channel. It really does mean a lot. I don't think there's a second one of Young Sherlock Holmes, but if there's any other fun detective movies or Sherlock Holmes movies that you'd like me to watch, please let me know. I love a good detective story. I love trying to figure out a case. Sherlock, the BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch was one of my favorite shows for a while. I just loved the mysteries and that. So if there's anything like that or anything like this which is just really fun and entertaining, please let me know. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for my next movie reaction.